thank you so much for joining me for yoga to relax and de-stress. My name is Jody and I'm making this video for the South Carolina Library in York County. So to get started today, we're going to do a couple of different types of breath, and these breaths are great to keep in your toolbox and use them anytime that you start to feel stress or anxiety, or maybe even if you're stuck in traffic. So the first breath is our basic deep belly breathing that has a lot of value. So we're going to start by placing our hands just on our lower abdomen below the navel. Find a comfortable seat, and we're going to inhale deeply through the nose, so much that we feel our bellies expand as they fill with air, and then exhale, bellies move back in. So what we're looking for is the rise and the fall of the belly. Often we get almost lazy with our breathing and we will revert to a shallow chest breath, which is actually very inefficient. It's not transferring all the clean air in and out, and so we're left with kind of a stagnant breath and air. That's not great for us, and it can leave us feeling anxious. It can give us headaches. So we want to remind ourselves to bring the breath all the way deep into the base of the belly as often as we can. Closing your eyes can really add an extra element of relaxation and calm. Let's just take a couple more deep breaths here. And let's move into our second breath, alternate nostril breathing. This can also be very calming. This can be a great breath to keep in your toolbox to use before bed, or maybe even if you wake up in the middle of the night, something to help you fall back asleep. We're going to start by using our thumb and our ring finger. And you might want to have some tissues nearby because this is also a cleansing breath. So I'm going to close off my right nostril, take a deep breath in through my left, close the left, exhale through the right, inhale through the right, close, exhale through the left, inhale through the left, close, exhale through the right, inhale through the right, exhale through the left, inhale through the left, close, and continue the cycle. Do you see how it's just moving in one big circle? Close your eyes as you continue at your own pace for just a few more breaths. Last cycle. Release the hands down, and let's take a deep breath in, sweeping both arms all the way up overhead, stretching tall. Exhale, release. Let's do that a few more times. Allow your breath to guide your pace. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. One more big breath in. This time we exhale, hands to heart center, and let's move our palms to our hips and start to make some big circles. Listening to your body. So maybe your range of motion is on the smaller side today, and that's okay. We're always working towards our own personal endpoint, and that can change from practice to practice, week to week. So the goal is just listening to the subtle whispers our body tells us. Go ahead and reverse directions. Yoga really helps stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system, which helps lower cortisol levels and promotes a sense of calm and mindfulness. So So for today's practice, we may be holding poses a little bit longer than what you're used to. Let's inhale back up overhead, and we're going to begin to flow from side to side. So let's focus on stretching tall with the inhale and then exhaling as we move into our side lateral bend. Maybe even stretching a little taller and a little deeper with each repetition. See if we can go just a tiny bit farther. See what availability that we have without pushing past our boundaries. The next time your right arm is down, let's pause right here and let's look up to the ceiling, pulling the shoulder back. And then inhale, sweep both arms up, exhale, split the arms, and let's move into our first spinal twist. So we're going to be very gentle here, thinking of our spine as a corkscrew, starting at the base of the spine. So from the thoracic spine, we inhale length, exhale, start from the bottom, twist a little higher up into the mid or thoracic spine until finally you're moving into the cervical spine and looking over the shoulder. But continuing the pattern with inhale lengthening, exhale twisting, to work our way a little deeper into the twist safely. Now on our next exhale, we're going to unwind, keeping our left palm where it is, reaching up and over for an anchored side stretch. If you notice your breath shifting and changing and moving into the more of the shallow chest breath, that's your indicator that you're moving too far for today. So if that happens, go ahead and back it up and come back to the point where you can maintain that long, smooth, deep belly breath. Move into your forward fold. If you have a block or blocks, perhaps you want to stack them and move into restorative fold. And then using our next inhale to come upright, hands come behind the hips. Let's counter the fold by opening up, expanding through the chest, dropping the shoulders down, lifting the chin, and releasing back to center. If you are sitting cross-legged like I am, go ahead and move the opposite leg in front. It's going to feel a little funny. Inhale, lift up, and let's exhale again, flow from side to side. Inhale, lift tall. Exhale, flow to the side. Really stretching through the side body, creating lots of length and space. How about one more on each side? So the next time our left palm is down, we'll hold this side. Pulling our shoulder back, taking our gaze to the ceiling. And inhaling, both arms tall. Exhale, split the arms, moving into spinal twist on the opposite side. So again, think about inhaling length. Exhale, twisting, starting from the base of our spine, moving all the way up to the upper or cervical spine. On our next exhale, unwind, keep the left palm where it is so we can lift up and over, coming into our anchored side stretch. And from here, gently releasing all the way out into our forward fold with or without your blocks. Finding your endpoint, resting, pausing, breathing. Begin to inhale your way upright, moving our hands behind the hips, fingertips pointing in, countering our fold, lifting up and expanding. Go ahead and release back to center. And let's make our way into our hands and our knees. So we're going to find tabletop position. So I'm stacking shoulders on top of my wrist, hips right on top of my knees. We're going to inhale, look up. Exhale, tuck and round. Flexing and extending the spine. Moving in as big of a range of motion as you're comfortable with. Let's do one more in each direction. And then we make our way back into neutral. And we're going to walk our right palm directly underneath the shoulder, lifting up into a spinal twist and just rotating our wrist a few times in each direction. Reverse. And exhale, release. Take the palm under the nose and now opposite palm up. And again, rotating the wrist. Switch directions. And then let's take our knees a little bit wider, sinking our hips down towards our heels, coming into child's pose. You can have your arms outstretched, or if it's comfortable, bring the palms together, thumbs behind your neck. Release, coming back up out of child's pose and just dropping to one hip. So I'm sitting like a pinwheel. We're going to come into deer pose. We have both knees bent. This is like a version of pigeon. We get deep into this left hip and outer thigh, but we're taking the hip flexor on the opposite leg out. So you might feel like you get a deeper hip opener. So we're going to start by just walking the hands out, maybe to your block, forearms on the block, maybe forearms on the mat, maybe stacking your fist and resting here. Take a couple of deep breaths in. Notice where you feel tight areas. And only if you need a deeper stretch or maybe even a different portion of the hip, we're going to diagonally walk out over this bent knee. So I'm coming out at an angle and I'm stretching my palms a little bit further, which is going to come a little bit deeper into the hip. So finding the end point that's tolerable for you today. Using our next inhale, begin to walk back to center and then slowly make your way back upright. And let's take both heels together, coming into cobbler's pose or butterfly sit. So depending on your inner thigh availability, your heels might be closer, they might be a little further away. Choose something that feels comfortable and then hook the palms under your ankles and sit up as tall as possible. Notice how your shoulders pull down away from your ears. Most of us carry a lot of tightness and tension through the traps, especially females. So if that's you, you might already be feeling a stretch by just sitting up tall and bringing palms under your ankles. I already do. If you need a little deeper stretch, we're going to inhale just a little more length into the spine. Reach the crown of the head higher to the ceiling. And then exhale left ear to the shoulder and see if we feel a little deeper stretch through the right side of the neck. Breathe into it. Inhale back to center, and then exhale other side. Inhale center. Exhale turn. Let's look over the left shoulder, looking as far as you comfortably can. Remember, the goal is only a mild tension, nothing more. Release center. Inhale, other side. Exhale, heart center, and drop the chin down. Let's take our palms on top of the collarbones. We're going to gently pull down as we lift the chin up. We're stretching through the front side of the neck. And then we'll slowly release and move into deer pose on the opposite side. So taking our left leg back, so both knees are bent, let's begin to walk out. Again, you can use your block. Remember, if you do have a block, you have 3 different levels. So you can have the block a little bit higher. If you want to go deeper, it can be a little bit lower. Whatever level works for you. You can also stack the fist, resting here. If you want to work your way a little differently into the hip and go a little bit deeper, let's start to diagonally walk across, reaching past the knee and then settling down. So your arms can be extended. You can come back to the fist. You can come back to the block. On our next inhale, begin to lift your chest upright. Our back leg moves all the way up and around. So we have one leg straight and one leg bent. We're going to take a deep inhale. Exhale, hinge from the hips. Work your way into a forward fold. So hands might be on the shins. They might be reaching towards the ankle or maybe the foot. Or if you have a strap, you can have your strap here if that's more comfortable. Inhale, upright, knee comes to the ceiling. I'm going to hug this knee into my chest. Inhale, right palm comes up. Take it behind your hip and let's work our way into a spinal twist. So actively flex this left foot. Inhale, lift, and exhale, begin to twist. Now that we've done our warm-up twist, see if you can take the twist a little deeper, making it just a little more challenging. Exhale, unwind, come back to the center, switching legs, actively flex the foot, inhale, arms up, exhale, forward fold. Folds are also very calming. Twist and folds, very calming, very peaceful, helps clear our minds. Inhale, come back to center, knee comes up. Go ahead and hug this knee into your chest. Inhale, lift the palm, take it back behind. Let's inhale, length into the spine. Exhale, begin to twist. Actively looking over the shoulder. Let's use our next exhale to unwind. Release the legs out in front. Just give them a little shake. For this next pose, take a second to watch me set up. If you don't have a block, a small firm couch cushion could also work just as well. You're going to place the block lengthwise and we're going to come into restorative fish. So I'm going to ask that you start with your knees bent and then gently come down to your forearms like this and then lower all the way down onto your block. Here's the trick. In restorative fish, our neck or our head is supported by the mat. So if I had a thicker block and I didn't have the range to set my head down and relax, I would need a second block or pillow to place it behind my head. So you don't want your joint just hanging out in space because this is causing a lot of tension, okay? So you want to relax the head down, arms open up. If your low back tolerates it, you can certainly extend both legs out, but we don't need to do that. So we're going to snow angel our arms, keeping the palms lifted up. And we're just going to move the arms in a full range of motion if possible. And we're going to notice the tight spots that we have in the chest and the front of the shoulders. If your hands aren't touching the floor, we might be really tight. So if you find a particularly tight area, just pause there and take a few deep breaths in. slowly moving through the full range of motion if that's possible for you today. Again, most of us tend to carry a lot of stress and tension, not only in the shoulders, but particularly the traps and the front side of the shoulders. Most of what we do activity-wise is forward moving. We sit at desks, we drive cars, we carry groceries, we carry kids, and that causes extra tightness through the front, overstretching in the back, over tightness in the front. So ideally, we'd spend a little more time opening up the front side of the body. When you're ready, I'm going to have you slowly roll onto your side so you can remove your pillow or your block. And then we'll come back over onto our back and we'll move into a spinal twist. So we'll start with our arms wide. We'll pick our hips up and shift them to the right about 2 inches before dropping our knees to the left, and see if you can't relax both shoulders into the mat. If you want to take the twist even deeper, if you want to counter your twist, you can turn your gaze and look away from your knees. But we're breathing into the tight areas of the spine, exhaling fully and completely. Next, inhale, knees to center. Exhale, shift the hips to the left an inch or 2. Drop the knees to the right. If our shoulders are relaxed, maybe you want to try countering the twist. Inhale your way back to center. Exhale, right angle crosses over the left. So we're making a figure 4. Big toe pulls up towards the knee. Hug the knee into your chest. Relax the shoulders down towards your mat. Breathe deep. As the stretch begins to feel a little easier, challenge yourself. Pull the leg in just a little bit closer. Make it a little bit more intense. Release and slowly move to the other side. Slower practices like this are best done when our bodies are warm. So if you have bath or showers and time to practice right after, that would be a really ideal time, or maybe even after a short walk. It will feel a little easier, our muscles will cooperate, and we'll actually see benefits in increasing our flexibility. Release, open up your feet, maybe mat distance apart, and gently rock the knees from side to side. One more time to each side. Hug the knees into the chest. And let's move into happy baby, reaching for your feet, and maybe if it's comfortable, rocking from side to side. Our final pose of the day is legs up the wall. I want to note that there's a big difference from doing our legs like this. This is an active pose, so all my muscles are contracted. This is active, so I'm working to hold my legs here. So there's nothing wrong with this, but it's not passive, it's not relaxing. So if you want to do a passive relaxing pose, I'll ask you to move closer to the wall. And the way I do this is that I just put my hips as close as I can to the wall and then turn and send my legs up the wall. So the further the hips are from the wall, the less stretch you'll feel in the hamstrings and the low back. So the closer the hips are, the deeper the stretch. But either way, when we have our legs resting on the wall, it's a passive inversion, so we're getting all the benefits of increased circulation, and we're also able to go into a deeper relaxation state. So this is a great way to end class and take final relaxation. But for those of you that aren't quite comfortable in this pose, you're going to want to move to a different final relaxation style. It could be on your back, It could be seated with the wall supporting you from the back. It could be side laying. It's whatever feels best in your body. Once there, I'm going to ask that you close your eyes and begin to focus back on your deep belly breathing. This is really an important part of practice because we're sealing in all the benefits of everything you've done. So close your eyes and allow yourself to drop into a deeper relaxation, sinking and melting a little deeper into your mats. Slowly start to bring your awareness back into this space. Begin to awaken the body by gently wiggling the fingers and the toes. Start to slide your heels down the wall if they're still there. Moving on to your right side. Knees are bent in fetal position. Head and neck resting on our outstretched arm. Slowly pressing the left palm into the mat as you make your way back up into a comfortable seated position. And let's close with one last deep breath in. Inhaling, reaching arms all the way up overhead, stretching tall. Exhaling, hands come to heart center. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today.